Welcome to Talking Heads on USA Global TV, starring the one and only wonderful Dr. JACALYN. It's a prestigious place where world-class influencers and experts meet, and where you'll find the most trusted advisors and coaches for all things in life and business. Visit usaglobaltv.com to sign up for our newsletter, get the value you need, and be first in line to learn about events and giveaways and other valuable content. Connect with us. Email Dr. JACALYN at usaglobaltv.com to talk about how you can become part of USA Global TV. That's USA Global TV, where the doctor is always in.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to USA Global TV, and hello to our friends listening on Business Talk Radio. I am Dr. JACALYN KERBECK, and our show today is the MALLORCA Connection. I love doing this show so much because of the wonderful guests that we have, but specifically because of our co-host here. He is a trifecta at USA Global TV, which means he is a co-host. He is one of our expert presenters on our Talking Heads team, and he's an elevated listener. All of this means you need to get to know this man. Roland listens. He provides a safe space for you to share. He's given me some great coaching, and I hope you'll reach out to him. Let's welcome Roland Fredle to the program. Hi there.
Hello, Dr. JACALYN. How are you doing?
I'm fantastic. It's great to see you. I know you have a lot going on. How are you doing, Roland?
Well, I'm very busy right now because, as you know, I'm moving. It's exciting times, so I'm going to open a new chapter, and it's always exciting because it's wonderful, but on the other side, a little bit anxious, a little, self-doubts. I love it. I love the thrill. Absolutely.
Well, you do look like you're glowing, so I can tell that you are passionate about what you're doing. And for folks who may not have joined us before, you have talked about living a wireless life, and you are about to hit the road in your RV, and you're going to live exactly like that. So I'm going to spotlight you, and for people who want to get to know you better, tell them all about Roland and the value that you bring to this beautiful world.
Yeah, thank you. Hello, guys. Wherever you join us, good evening from Europe. Good afternoon to the US or Canada, wherever you're joining us. Yes, I'm Roland. I'm originally here from my accent from Austria, small country in the middle of Europe, but the last 14 years have been spent in Spain on a beautiful island. And I dedicated my life since almost 2.5 decades, a little bit more, 2.5 decades, to support, first of all, to support organizations and their leaders out in the world, not only to perform better, meaning higher profits, being better, being more efficient, but also to support their leaders to have a more purposeful life. Because I know it from my own experience when I joined the corporate world, and I had a very fast, very good career, but I left it because I had no energy when I came home. I had no energy. I was not present with my wife. I was not present with my kids. So I was working and it really was so exhausted. So I dedicated my life to help these leaders to have more purpose in life, to have a more fulfilled life, a happy life, meaning when they come back from their jobs, that they're still present, they're still full of energy to be very present with their beloved ones when they spend the evenings or the weekends. That's what I started years ago on doing that internationally. And a few years ago, I also started coaching people who want to have the same lifestyle by myself, meaning wireless life, working remotely, maybe from Bali or from Mallorca or from some beautiful place, or even from their own garden, changing their lives and being wireless, meaning more independent and free. That's what I do. And as JACALYN, as you know, 2 years ago, I started a group. It's called Sparring for Men. It's a men's group where we have a US group and a European group where we meet twice a month online in a safe, loving-full space where men can share about their man being, their role as a man, as a husband, as a father, as an entrepreneur, whatever. So that's why I dedicate my life just to support people to be more happy and have more purpose in the life. That's what I'm doing. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Roland. And I do want to let our audience know that you will be featured in your own chapter in my upcoming book called Adversity to Awesome. So if you want to know more about Roland, you can go over and you can pre-order on Amazon. Roland, as you know, I left corporate in 2020 also, and am now leading a life that is, I can't say wireless because I got a ton of wires energy here, but it's able to be packed up and go out on the road just like what you're going to do to. So I encourage a lot of people out there who are part of the great retirements and leaving corporate to follow their passion and their dream. And you've brought a phenomenal guest today. I'm really excited. We just talked briefly backstage, but do tell us how you know Jeffrey and what he's going to be sharing with us today.
Yeah, absolutely. It's an interesting story. I met Dr. Jeffrey Armstrong a few years ago in Bali. When I joined first time the Bali Spirit Festival, and I was reading the schedule, what they're offering, or yoga classing, teachings, whatever. And then I saw this name, Dr. Jeffrey Armstrong. I said, Jeffrey Armstrong, where do I don't know his name? And then I come, I read a book of it. Actually, it was in German. I was reading a German version. In English, it's calling The Spiritual Teaching of the Avatar, the Kindest Avatar. And I read it 2 years before I went to the Spirit Festival. And to be honest, this book absolutely flashed me. It was an eye-opener for me. I learned so much of it because he was writing about different aspects of life. And he always was referring also to my favorite movie by Cameron, The Avatar. So I love this book. So of course, I went to see this person. And I joined, I guess, all 5 or 6 lectures I did in Bali. So yeah, we get to know each other, and I learned a lot from him. So I'm very happy and I'm very honored that he is on the show tonight, and we can learn a lot of him. And yeah, and he also dedicated his life, I guess, 25 years ago to what he's doing. He left the corporate world 25 years ago, I guess, and dedicated his life for what he's passionate about it. And I guess he's also living a little bit wireless because he's teachings and offering workshops all over the globe. So I'm very happy to have him on the show, and I feel very honored.
Welcome to the show, Dr. Jeffrey Armstrong. Hi.
Hello.
Hello.
Namaste.
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 Namaste, Jeffrey.
I must tell you, I thought you just for me put the boxing gloves up since my last name is Armstrong. My father was a Golden Gloves boxer. And so I thought, pugilist. And they hung up their gloves. This is good. It's sort of the Western Gandhi kind of thing. I really like it. It's good to see you both.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Jeffrey. Thank you. Thank you so much that you have your time to bring you on the show. And I want to start with my first question, just to bring you to more broader audience, because I know you. I call you the Western master of the Eastern wisdom. And my target for tonight is to bring it to more broader audience, that they understand what you're doing and what you're dedicated to your life. Because I know that you have been a top manager in the Silicon Valley. You left the corporate world, and you, I guess, the last 2.5 decades, more or less, you dedicated your life totally to the Vedic teaching. My question is to you at the beginning, just the audience get a little bit understanding, where does this desire to learn about it, to study the Vedics and the Hindus, where does this come from? And I guess it started earlier than 25 years ago.
Yes, it's actually something that we all experience. We're missing some vitamins. We know something's wrong, but we're not quite sure what. And that experience started for me at age 13, in a standard Protestant family living in the suburbs of Detroit, the then murder capital of North America, by the way. So still, I just woke up that the people around me didn't have all the answers that I was looking for. And for some reason, I was looking for them. And in pursuit of that, by 23, so that was around 13, by 23, I entered a Vedic ashram and spent 5 years sleeping on the floor and serving my guru as a celibate monk. And it all went on from there.
Okay. Wow. But you also had your normal as a material career, but I guess you never lost the root. So the root cause when you started in this monastery.
You know, it took a few years. So I actually spent 5 years in an ashram. Then I'd already spent 5 years at university getting various degrees, psychology, literature, poetry. I was in speech and dramatic arts and theater my whole life, from high school on up. And then I went into the ashram, spent 5 years, came out and for 3 years studied Jyotish, Vedic astrology. And then I went back to university, got a degree in history and comparative religion, and found a Sanskrit professor, studied with him for a year. And only then did I enter into the world of professional business life.
Mm-hmm.
I was in Silicon Valley. I worked for Apple Computer, and I was their Middle Eastern sales manager in charge of 30 Apple dealers in the Arab countries, selling the Apple II. And then I went on for 8 years. And then finally, I saw that I really didn't want to work for any particular company. And I used to call them corporations, that dead place I go each day. Because I was beginning to understand that what we call a corporation used to be called colonization, and still is in many ways. A corporation that is just for profit is not really integrous. They're really exploiting the world still, and they're only answerable to the people they're making a profit for.
Mm-hmm.
So what I call that an entrepreneur, and what I became was a mantrapreneur. I actually became a self-actualized participant and fully initiated into Western civilization, and then also fully initiated into the ancient Vedic knowledge of India. And so at age 50, I said, okay, from now on, all I do is teach the knowledge of the Vedic culture.
Okay, but you already had this knowledge because you started earlier teaching. How is it to work in a corporate world, in a tough business like Apple, already having this knowledge? How do you feel? I mean,
well, I used to wear a T-shirt because I couldn't tell people there what I really was. So the T-shirt said, I made up a little poem because I'm a poet. Roses are red, violets are blue. I'm schizophrenic, and so am I. So I've been a double agent for a very long time, and I'm very comfortable in it. I don't have trouble walking in both worlds, in any of the world. That's part of being a yogic practitioner, is that not only this world, but many others, you can visit them in your subtle body. And you are no longer just a resident of Earth, you're now a galactic resident. And you're looking at everyone that way. And that's what this means. It means, I don't care if you have green skin and antennas, I see you as a sacred divine being.
Yeah. Jeffrey, I have a question because I learned it. I guess it was the first lecture at John Pali, because some people, yoga is very, I would say, trendy, more or less, especially also in the US. It's a huge business, and a lot of people are using the greeting of Namaste. But I truly know that most people don't understand what it truly means. Can you explain that, the meaning of Namaste as a start?
Of course, it's very important. It's just the basis of yoga that we are all immortal beings on a grand adventure here. And we chose to come here from another realm, which is called Brahman. And where we live is called Prakriti. It means the place that's made together out of parts by cause and effect over time. So here there's time, cause and effect, birth, death, all of those things that we're struggling with. And we chose to come here and have this experience. And we're from another realm called Brahman. This is all from the knowledge of India and yoga. And therefore, we're immortal beings. And so we see ourselves and everyone else as an immortal being who chose to come here voluntarily, who's here experiencing it from life to life over many, many, many lifetimes as you want, no problem. And so that worldview is truly a cosmic, universal worldview. It's not even just a spiritual view or a religious view. It's an intergalactic view where you are seeing yourself as visiting this planet. And you, at a certain point, you realize you're encouraging others to have a bigger view of themselves and not to be trapped in the past or even the present.
Dr. Jeffrey, that is so interesting. I'm just wondering, how, if at all, would you correlate this to living in a 3D or 5D world where it's ego versus heart-led? Is there any intersection there?
I'm a linguist as well. The study of this knowledge led me to Sanskrit. And so one of the key things I want to show you is that we don't have a vocabulary in mostly the English and European languages, but especially English, which is a very sloppy language, to describe these higher principles. So there are Sanskrit words, because the Sanskrit language is the origin and source of Greek, Latin, Aramaic, Hebrew, and then all of the modern Romance languages, and German, and so forth. So in Sanskrit, this concept is that we're here to experience this world, and that when we're ready, we do something called moksha, which is we motivate back toward where we came from. And everyone here, so think of this, I've tried to make English words that make this more sensible. So think of the universe as a university, and all of us as students. And this means I look at you that way.
Very nice, very nice. I love it. I love it so much.
Thank you.
Dr. Jeffrey, I want a little bit talk about the book. Before I met you in person, I was reading your book. Actually, in German, it's called Das Geheimnis der Avatar, the spiritual teachings of the avatars. And I told it in the introduction, it really was a game changer for me, because it opened my eyes, and I learned so much, and I got deeper and deeper. And on the other hand, I'm a huge fan of the Cameron movie Avatar. You always refer to it, and to be honest, after reading the book, I got a much better understanding by the movie, by some details of the movie. You know, I was just flashed by the pictures and the colors of the movie, of course, and of the content. But after reading your book, or while reading your book, I got really a deep understanding about the details, because you talk about all aspects of life. That's what I really love in this book. Can you tell the audience a little bit about what was the goal for this book, or what was the target of this book to tell the audience?
You know, that's an interesting question, Roland, because you see, our movie making industry, like any other form of business, was always looking for new ideas. And those new ideas were taken from ancient civilizations or wherever people could find them, and quickly converted into something that we could make both money on and perhaps entertain with and make into culture. So you might say we took artifacts from ancient civilizations and made movies out of them without telling anyone and giving credit to those cultures. So the actual reason I wrote The Spiritual Teachings of the Avatar was that the Avatar word is one of the most important Sanskrit words in the culture of India. And yet the word was used, but the word was never explained in its correct meaning. And this is the paradox that I found myself in once I learned the knowledge of India. Then I saw that it's been around longer as a culture than any other culture that left a reliable historical record, so that its knowledge is still being passed forward. But Western civilization, and I have to say in the name of Jesus, which is somewhat ironic, went out and took from all the cultures of the world in the last 300 years before our modern times. They stole everything. Mm-hmm. And so here was a movie maker making a movie with one of the most important Sanskrit words, avatara. Ava means to descend, and Tara means to heal. Mm-hmm. So an avatar is a manifestation of divinity, or the ultimate supreme being, coming down into the realm of humans, dressing up in a material body, but not really being from here, going there with a purpose to give us the knowledge that we need to become Tara, or healed from our misunderstandings, and to recover a clarity of vision of who we really are, and then learn how to live together in a much better way, and eventually go back to where we came from. That's Avatar. So I realized that they were exploiting the word, and I saw this as an opportunity to explain the word, which is what I was already doing. So that's how the book came about.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for this work in this book, because I guess it's so important that people understand the meaning of avatar, and especially in these times. I mean, times are much more challenging, and I guess we need healing.
Yes, well, and healing is Tara also. You might have heard the Tibetan mantra, Om Tare Tu Tare Ture Swaha. So Tara is the feminine divine who's sadly missing in our Western civilization. And it's she as the ultimate healer. So she has a bottle of medicine with her and a pill that will heal anything. So Avatara, the word Tara, gave us the English word star. Star is a direct mispronunciation of Tara, because the starlight is descending to where we are, and it's giving us healing nutrients of light, and it represents our link to the higher realities. So Avatara is a rich and beautiful word, and every so often a scheduled visit of the Supreme comes to earth, but not as a prophet, not just for one quick adventure, but to leave books behind. And the Bhagavad Gita is the classic example. It was years later until I did the translation of it, but the Bhagavad Gita is the message left behind by the Avatara. So it's the healing medicine for the people who've forgotten who they are.
Absolutely. I loved it. I loved it so much.
I do too. It's fascinating. We need to take a quick break. I'm sorry. We need to take a quick break, and we will be right back. We are going to actually watch the Earthshot Prize, and then we'll be back with more from Dr. Jeffrey Armstrong and Roland Fredle. So stay with us here.
Ours is a world of wonder. Every day it reminds us of its beauty. It touches us, teaches us, and astounds us. But it also warns us that what we throw away does not go away. That higher temperatures mean a lot more than longer summers. That we can no longer take life as we know it for granted. We are at a unique stage in our history. Never before have we had such an awareness of what we are doing to the planet. And never before have we had the power to do something about that.
Is this realization that we're immortal beings who cannot die, and that we have many, 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 many lifetimes in which to explore this realm. This larger view makes us what's known as Mahatma. And because Gandhi got politically labeled with that word, we think we understand it. But really it means one who holds a far bigger vision and perspective. And perspective is everything. And all of these things that our civilization has been doing in science, the premise of science is I'm going to learn to use cause and effect to do amazing things. So if that's the manipulative use of science, what is the philosophical use of science? And it would be that if I'm using my intelligence to make amazing things here on Earth, the universe must be an invention by the most amazing intelligence. I want to get in touch with that intelligence wirelessly. And that wireless connection with that supreme intelligence and with the intelligence of nature is actually called yoga. Yoga is not just things you do with your body. Yoga is where your consciousness is freed from the bondage to the past, to the present, and becomes a traveler, a visionary here within this world, now working to cooperate with the laws of nature so the world has a future. Love the commercial, by the way.
Thank you. I'm jealous of how easily you did that. I'm still working on it.
We'll do the other way.
The other way is impossible.
That's right. It's
To get
post-category.
So when people say, oh, I have bad karma, that's why this happened to me, that's not really based on science then, in the way they're describing it, right?
Yes, it's a rather amateurish way to look at it. It's just the beginning of the process, but that's still thinking in a punitive way, as if karma is some kind of punishment. It's not really being scientific and understanding that everything here is based on cause and effect. And why I added our inability to die is that as soon as you realize that, then everything we do simply creates a future for us that is the result of what we're doing. You could say it's the feedback. And that feedback loop is very famous, and that's what the basis of science is. I do this, this happens predictably. I do this, this happens predictably. So all cause and effect is karma. That's the first thing. Science just took it away from the place where it came from. So the study of cause and effect is science, which is karma. Then the fact that we're implicated in that is because there are, we already know this, laws of nature. Those laws of nature are called in Sanskrit the ritam. They're the basis of all of the things we do again and again to make things happen, which are called rituals in English. The ritam is the universe being governed top to bottom by cause and effect. And so we're, as yogis, trying to become the best participants so that, number one, we have the experience here. Number two, we treat this world in such a way that future generations can have the same experience. We don't just use up the world, which is kind of what we're doing right now. And number three, we live so that we're positioned to stay in contact with where we came from, and that's yoga. Those three things: a concern for life and others and the planet, engaging actively in life here, but in such a way that your future is brighter and brighter and brighter. That only means help everyone else while you're at it. There's a beautiful term in Sanskrit. A realm is called a loka. We get location from that in English. So the word is loka samgraha. Every human being should always be careful while accomplishing their own purposes to hold the world together. Loka samgraha.
Okay, so it's cause and effect. Jeffrey, I'm raised in a Christian culture. I was in a monastery as a student, and I didn't feel comfortable because some of the rituals and some of the stuff to teach me, and I couldn't handle it. So when we talk about karma in the Christian world or in the Catholic world, there's forgiveness through confession. Does it make sense in this cause and effect?
One of my favorites is the real meaning of this.
Yeah.
It's all right, you damn dagos, get the hell off the grass. Now, no disrespect meant to the Italians, but the problem is that we've only been given one tiny lifetime by Christianity, Islam, Judaism. No disrespect to the rest of their teachings, not to them at all. It's just a fact. And modern science only has one tiny little lifespan.
Yeah.
So as soon as you have one tiny little lifestyle, you become small-minded. It's called duratma. And you live inside this little tiny scary box for only one lifetime. So karma is not about punishment and reward. Karma is about cause and effect. Karma is just science. To think they're separate is just to not understand the meaning of the word karma. But because we're able to instigate particular actions that came from us, if we violate the laws of nature, we get one outcome. And if we work with the laws of nature, we get another outcome. But isn't that called science? But in religion, you only have one lifetime. And in science, you only have one lifetime. So it actually defeats the purpose. You could say modern science is the understanding of karma without the understanding of immortality. And religion is an attempt to get immortality without understanding karma. They're both missing vitamins.
Absolutely. So what I take for myself, and after my studies, and just a tiny ones, and compared to your state and reading books, and what I understand is when you get away from this one life, this and I think this fearful understanding of one life, yeah, you feel much more free. When you feel much more free, you take more self-responsibility, and it's a different lifestyle.
It also solves all of these skin color problems and gender problems, because we know that inside of everybody is the same divine being inside, just wearing different clothing. It'd be like if we both ended the show and couldn't agree because we're wearing different colored clothing. And we start fighting and going, I don't like checkered shirts. I don't like checkered shirts. I mean, this is insanity. And I'll take it one step further. All the indigenous cultures knew a great secret. And I wish we knew this in the world right now. And it was known in India. All the great civilizations prior to this modern problem the women were in charge of life. The feminine was in charge of life, because all the persons embodied in a female form were extensions of Mother Earth. And so who knows better how to preserve life than someone embodied in the female form? And the extra abilities and muscles and other things in the masculine don't make us in charge of life. They make us in the service of protecting life.
Absolutely.
So these yogic definitions of our embodiment are so important, and it would have stopped all of this terrible chaos of just being unkind to people because of their skin color or clothing or anything. And next, we would have an important role in life. Right now, if we handed the government policies of the world over to the women, they would stop the conflict in its tracks and say, stop, find another way to do it. Drop your weapons, get rid of all of those things. So it's the masculine dominant energy out of control that we're seeing right now. And this is the simple male and female divine of yoga brought down into the true psychology of being embodied on this planet.
Absolutely. We had this in your previous show when I had some guests talking about sexuality, masculinity, sexuality, and we see this in this religion, like the Christian, the Islamic, and the religion, that you don't see any females. There are no females in power. Yeah, modern history is written by men, not by women. Yeah, that's control, because I strongly believe, and there are more female energy involved, there would be a much better world at all.
Well, here's another part of that in Sanskrit, our planet has a name, and she is called Mata Bhumi, Bhumi, Mother Bhumi. And the word Bhumi, dropped the B, became a humi, humus, human.
Human.
So we are all the children of Mata Bhumi, Mother Earth.
Mother Earth, yeah.
And so anyone who embodies in a female body is here practicing being mothery. So they get to breastfeed, they get to care for, they get a wisdom that integrates with Mother Earth, with Mata Bhumi, and that's very natural. And we're also called mankind. Now, this is very critical. Man does not mean masculine, it means manas, which is the Sanskrit name for our thinking, feeling, and willing abilities. We are mind kind, not male kind.
Yeah.
And a misunderstanding of these things has created just a terrible, offensive civilization that doesn't get the benefit of all of the embodied beings. And where the feminine in the First Nations, in the Iroquois Confederation of the East Coast of the United States, which, by the way, gave us our democracy, and that's another story for another time. The women were in charge of they became the judiciary. They had the ability to throw out the chief if he didn't behave well. And the warriors had to get the permission of the women to go fight anyone. If we just right now stop in our tracks, institute this, we'll live in a much different, much more cooperative and beautiful world. So that's the Vedic worldview. That's the yogic worldview.
Yeah. But on the other hand, we had this feminism coming up in the 50s, but this is not the same stuff. It's going in the wrong
because
direction.
The neglect already was chronic, and because the understanding wasn't correct. But we're not the body first. Second, which bodies are useful for which realities? And third, can't we all work together? What if we fall in love with each other rather than just putting up with each other? Boy, that'd be amazing. I mean, everyone. What if we're in love with everyone and want to be friends with everyone, no matter what their body looks like, no matter what their skin color, gender, culture? What if we come in saying, want to get to know you? So there's a rule about this. Most people haven't been told. Yoga is only able to be taught in a friendly tone of voice with a friendly intention. And this is because the baseline relationship between ourself and the Supreme Being is friendship. In the Bhagavad Gita, when Arjuna and Bhagavan are talking, Supreme Being says to Arjuna, a really amazing human, I'm sharing this knowledge with you because you and I are friends. This is the secret weapon. Become the friend of everyone, and the friendly relationship with the source of all and with the planet, and now behave that way as if you were taking care of best friends long term.
Absolutely. Jeffrey, you mentioned the Bhagavad Gita, and I know that you did a very radical translation of it, and I'm looking forward for the German one. It's easier for me for the understanding. Can you tell our audience a little bit what is the learning, when they're reading the book, why they should read the book, and what's the learning for their life when reading the Bhagavad Gita?
Certainly, two answers. First, why the Bhagavad Gita, and second, why the one that I translated. What did I do? So what happened during colonization, again, I mentioned this, I alluded to this. The irony of colonization was that it was instigated by the Pope. A little before Columbus went out into the world, he wrote some papal bulls that gave permission to all the European Catholic countries to go out and take whatever they wanted from the world. There were two terms they were given. One is persona non grata. If they're not a Christian, they only look like a person, but they're not a person. And terra nobis, which means the land does not belong to anyone who's not a Christian. So with those two things in hand and the papal bull that they were given, The European cultures went out in the world with the instruction to take whatever they wanted that wasn't owned by Christians. And we're just in recovery, just finding out that this happened. So that was where colonization came from. And with it came a worldview. And the worldview is all of these ways of relating to one another. And our current adversarial situation is a good example, that we can't see past cultural differences. Matter of fact, we can't relish and enjoy them. Imagine how much wonderful tourism we could be having instead of this conflict. Imagine if we went around the world making friends with everyone. This is the imagination of the Vedic knowledge, and all the First Nations cultures held this same viewpoint. So they felt they had a responsibility to connect to the earth and to preserve it, and then to strategically get to know one another and not kill each other over differences, but they invented democracy. And the long story is they gave that democracy to the settlers who were starting America. And America is not a democracy. It is the Iroquois Confederation of the East Coast of America that was the democracy. They gave their constitution to the US. Anyway, a longer story. But all of this is related to how we're not understanding how to cooperate.
Okay. And why does should read your Bhagavad Gita, your translation?
Because during that colonization, certain words were used to colonize. And those English words, God, Lord, sin, heaven, hell, and so forth, a host of them, maybe 100 words all told, are specifically to block you from having any other worldview. They are to narrow your view, and they're actually part of this propaganda arm of the Catholic Church when that colonization took place. There, those colonial words left over. And again, to be kind and truthful, it doesn't mean that all people in the Catholic religion or in any other religion think this way, but their ancestors did. And they need to know that, so they don't think that way. So these words were used in translating the Bhagavad Gita. When the Gita was translated, or anything Vedic, instead of translating and using the Sanskrit words, they plugged in the Christian words. So a good example is Bhagavan is the name that gives us Bhagavad Gita. So Bhagavad is a name for the Supreme Being, Bhagavan, and it means Bhaga, the 6 things that everyone is pursuing in life: beauty, wealth, strength, fame, knowledge, generosity, those things. Whoever possesses those to an unlimited degree is the Supreme Being. So now look around and try to find the Supreme Being. Is it your next door neighbor? Well, they have some, but not all. Is it you? Is it me? No, some, but not all. So the pursuit of Bhagavan is what the Bhagavad Gita is talking about. But in every translation you'll see the English word God. And you'll really enjoy this, Roland. It's actually a German word.
Yeah. Actually, I know that there are, because I studied German philology, a lot of German, I don't know how many, I guess you can tell me, Jeffrey, how many words from German or Celtic language are coming from
Well, Germany is based purely on Sanskrit and not Latin.
Yeah.
So at the bottom of German is a huge vocabulary of Sanskrit. And the word Russian, the language of Russia, Russia means Rishi. Rishi is a name for yogis at a very advanced level of insight and seeing. And Scandinavia is Skanda, another Sanskrit word for the son of Shiva and Durga. And Ireland is Aryan land, where the people who came from India populated Europe thousands of years ago. So we're all from one family. And that family learned Sanskrit thousands of years ago. The Germans used it to go forward into the present time, whereas the Romance languages were sidetracked to Latin. So Spanish, Portuguese, those Italian, those languages are Latin-based. German is Sanskrit-based. So the word God came into English from Gut in Dutch, G-U-T, from Gutam in German, and in the Sanskrit, it's Hutam. When you make an offering into the fire, and by the way, that was to say thank you and say to the laws of nature, I'm going to follow you and do what you say. So the smoke arising was called Hutam, and it was an offering of gratitude for the dinner that I'm about to receive. A kind of grace where we're saying, here's some for you. First bite's for you. Smoke rises up, that's called Hutam, becomes Gutam in German, Gut in Dutch, and God in English. So when the Bhagavad Gita has been translated for the last 300 years, the English word, the Christian word, God, was used to replace Bhagavan. So in the translation, it says, then God said, instead of Bhagavan. But Bhagavan is an avatar, back to where we started, who descended to the earth and was on the earth and is the personification of all those 6 qualities that are the qualities of the Supreme Being. So these things were taken out by covering them with Christian terminology. I have removed the Christian terminology from the translation process and used carefully chosen English words so the Sanskrit meaning makes its way through. And that is why it's radical. It's the first time that's ever happened.
I'm very looking forward to the German copy.
Maybe you and I can do it together.
Oh,
yeah, it's a bit challenging. Yeah, why not? Why not? Yeah, it's good. We talk about it. We talk about Jeffrey.
Because we need the same thing to happen in each of the languages, and German really should be lined up to be next.
Yeah, that's a cool project on my RV trip. Yeah, let's talk about it.
That's great.
Good.
Dr. Jeffrey Armstrong, I don't know how many questions that I'd love to ask you myself, but we've run out of time. So I'd love to have you come back and just explore some more with you.
It would be a great pleasure. Well, this conversation that you're conducting is so important, and that both of you are acting as the true journalists, talking the right talk around the world and asking the right questions so that the right conversations are stimulated. And this is how all of the, at least Vedic teachers teach. They teach by asking the right questions and by being in the right mood and by standing in the right posture. So from their behavior, everyone sees an example of how to be intelligent, but not exploitive, of how to be in some way superior, but not act like they're superior or in charge, but be in the service of every living entity. And it's an honor to be here with the two of you. I know you've hung up the gloves because that's exactly what you're here for. Not to be a pugilist, but to be a servant of everyone's future well-being. So thank you for having me. It's an honor.
That's so beautiful.
Thank you,
beautiful.
Jeffrey. Thank you. Thank you.
Jeffrey, if people want to reach out to you, what's the best way for them to connect?
The GitaComesAlive.com is one of the ways to reach us, and the other is the organization that we represent is VASA, our organization, Vedic Academy of Science and Art. So VASA at jeffreyarmstrong.com or the GitaComesAlive.com are the easiest ways to reach us.
Thank you so much. We'll put that other link up for you as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. And again, I'll be reaching out to have you come back and join us again when you're available.
I can't wait.
Okay.
This is what they call in India sadhu sangha. It's when people who have a larger, beautiful vision of life get together and discuss things of value to everyone. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Jeffrey.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, Jeffrey.
Oh my gosh, so many incredible points that he brought up that are so relevant today, that if we could just get one person out there to change the way they're looking at the world and how they're maybe analyzing or judging instead of opening up, lifting up, and welcoming, I think it would make so much of a difference. Of course, one isn't going to be enough for me. I want everyone to be able to start with one person.
Yeah, this time was too short. This was too short. I could talk hours and hours with him. Hours and hours.
We could do a telethon, a marathon with him. So we'll have him back. But Roland, you have another show coming up right after this. You're presenting on Talking Heads, and
Yes.
I'm excited for that. I'm going to spotlight you. So if you could just share with people, what can they expect by watching and learning from you on Talking Heads?
Well, actually, I just share my expertise and my experience by running my own companies, or by having been a leader in the industry years ago, but also by teaching and consulting international companies. That's what I do. The topic I'm teaching is, or the first model I'm teaching is, increasing your leadership performance by smart planning and effective team communication. And tonight, actually in 7 minutes, we have episode 3, the success trial. I want to introduce you 5 important steps to consider for a successful team performance. That's what we're going to talk about in the next 30 minutes.
Wonderful. And for people who want to reach out to you, what's the best way?
The best way is, if you want to connect with me, go on my main website. It's my name, rolandfriedl.com. I will spell it for you. It's ROLANDFRIEDL, rolandfriedl.com. And there you can find whatever you need. If you're running an organization, working in the corporate world, you get help. You get a link to my professional business website. If you need coaching on a wireless life or a fantastic independent free lifestyle, then you get a link to Wireless Life Rocks. If you are men or even a woman and you want to become your man a better man, then we will link to Sparring for Men. So you find everything on my main website, rolandfriedl.com. And I'm very happy to contact you and come back to you, because I'm always eager to get in contact with people and also to learn from you. And I'm very interested. What is your lifestyle? What are your thoughts? What do you think about the future? Where do you want to go? And yeah, let's start a conversation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Roland. All right, I'll let you go get changed for our next show, and I'll see you in the other studio.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. And thank you to each and every one of you who are watching our shows or listening on Business Talk Radio. It really means so much. This platform is all about welcoming people to share their story and to help support each other and lift one another up. And we have 20 live shows approximately each week, and each show has a different topic. I believe I have 15 co-hosts now, and I do the rest of the shows by myself. So if you'd like to be on our shows, please go to our website, usaglobaltv.com. And also just a couple of quick plugs for myself and some of the things that I'm doing. So in case you're not aware, in addition to running this platform, I also am a certified life and career coach. I'm a certified meditation teacher and a certified yoga instructor. And I also teach people how to listen. So listening is so important, and it's something that we take for granted. And if we just listen to each other instead of judging what someone's saying or coming up with a solution for them when they didn't ask, or interrupting them when they speak, I believe we would have more inner peace and we would be closer to world peace. So if you'd like to learn how to listen, please go over to my personal website, drjacalyn.com, and I'd be happy to educate you there on the different options that we have. Also, as I mentioned, my next book is coming out, Adversity to Awesome. I have a chapter in here myself about something that happened to me and really impacted a lot of my life, my self-esteem issues that I've shared before. I also have 3 chronic illnesses. So you'll get to learn a little bit more about me, as well as each of the authors who have written their own chapter. Okay, that's all for now. I'm going to run over to the other studio and get ready for Roland. Thank you so much to Dr. Jeffrey Armstrong. Thank you to Roland Friedl. I'll see you guys back here shortly. Bye.